can you believe that it's been over a year since Space Marine 2 came out? And now the roadmap for the future is looking incredible. If you thought that the game was done, it's so far from done. We've got so much interesting information because Saber Interactive and Focus Entertainment just dropped their official Year 2 roadmap. This isn't just a few cosmetics or balance tweaks, this is a full-blown relaunch for the game's future, complete with new missions, modes, and even a new playable class. Let's break down exactly what's coming though, and why it's such a big deal, and what it means for the future of Space Marine 2. When the game first dropped in September of 2024, it hit so hard. The scale, the polish, the weight of those combat animations, it felt like Warhammer 40k was the most mainstream in the world at that time. Whether you're on YouTube or on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, every single reel on video was about Space Marine 2. Killing those dastardly heretics. It felt like the Warhammer universe had finally been done justice in a modern shooter, a mainstream game, and the rewards were there for Focusrite and Saber Interactive. It is one of the best and most successful games of 2024. But it wasn't perfect. Of course, no game is, and there's always some improvements to be done. Not just that, but to keep a game alive and to keep people coming back, especially for a mainly single-player experience, there had to be a few gaps filled. Okay, people loved the campaign, but they felt like sometimes the multiplayer lacked a little bit. I definitely felt like the multiplayer was a little bit too generic. Don't get me wrong, it had that Halo feel, the old-fashioned Halo feel, I mean, and, you know, it had some nice little elements to it, but the longevity, not exactly all there. PvE was pretty fun, but pretty repetitive, and PvP, whilst solid, needed more modes and depth to keep players engaged long-term. So, for a game built around brutal cinematic warfare, it left some people wondering, are they going to do more games, or are they going to actually focus on this one and get this one to a better stage? Now, we've just had the biggest announcement that Space Marine has ever. Focus confirmed that Year 2 isn't just more of the same, it's something much bigger. According to a lot of official sources, the game will receive 6 major updates over the next 12 to 18 months. This includes free content drops for everybody, plus a Season Pass 2 packed with new cosmetics and champion packs, and leading the charge, the biggest patch the game has ever had, Patch 10, also known as the Anniversary Update. This launched on September the 4th, and it was, well, absolutely huge. Got a brand new PvE mission, a new co-op mission designed to push the existing PvE systems further than ever, and whilst, you know, was exactly what everybody was kind of looking for at the time. Oh, did I mention that you can now play as a Hellbrute in the new PvP mode Hellbrute Onslaught? It gets a little bit spicy here. Patch 10 introduced this PvP mode where one person plays as a Hellbrute. The Chaos factions, of course, basically half monster, half mechanical death torture device, is not just a background enemy. This is something you can play as. One team gains control of the Hellbrute and they can rampage across the battlefield whilst the opposing squad must coordinate to take it down. It's essentially a Warhammer twist on an asymmetric PvP mode. Think of kind of like Juggernaut mode in Halo, that kind of thing. The Hellbrute, of course, has heavy weaponry combined with incredible melee power. If you come across them in the campaign, you know that they are incredibly terrifying to go up against unless you have a Dreadnought of your own. And this alone is a really, really big expansion to the multiplayer, something that could have easily been left to the side if they didn't put the time and effort into it. Now, of course, we also have new weapons, 3 new weapons to be exact, melee, ranged, and heavy. They always have been a big part, adding in extra bits and pieces, and of course, more enemies. I love it when new enemies come in. I mean, when the Tyranid Titan came in, that was one of the coolest ones. Unfortunately, you didn't really get up too close to fight it, but I loved that update. Now we've got a Chaos Spawn. There's 3 unique variants of this thing. Each version has its own different attack patterns, so it's not like you're just going to get used to it and it's going to become an easy enemy to attack. This is one of the most grotesque, disgusting things they've added to the game, but it provides a real boss tier challenge for co-op players, and I'm glad that we've really got something else in there to get our hands into. Of course, there's more cosmetic packs, as you might understand. The Chaos Armor cosmetics came in Season 2 as well. And they're not exactly the most groundbreaking thing, but, you know, it's still pretty impressive how much attention to the lore has been put into this. I am so far away from Warhammer until I start playing this game, and it just drags me back in time and time again. Yes, I know it is a marketing ploy, and they make me buy more Space Marines, but goddamn, they are so cool. I just want to The roadmap though doesn't stop there. Saber have already confirmed 5 more major updates up to, well, update 15 next year. Patch 11 is going to focus on PvP missions even further and environmental variations. The devs have teased planetary escalation mechanics, suggesting missions might now feature multiple stage objectives across several biomes or battlefronts. Now that is something I want to see. They've also hinted at new weapons and armor variations, which likely mean expanding the loadouts as well. It's essentially new tools, new layers, and much bigger missions across multiple different maps. And then we have the headline for year 2, a brand new playable class, the Tech Marine. For Warhammer fans, this is massive. The Tech Marine isn't just a frontline brawler, they are engineers responsible for maintaining the Imperial's machinery and, well, opening up entirely new gameplay mechanics. We can see that you have a huge axe as this, alongside deployable turrets, repair abilities, and possibly mech support in PvE. This means for the first time we're going to have some sort of support role, which is pretty nice. Along with the new class, of course, patch 12 will introduce some battle barge expansions with a new environment that is both a playable zone and potentially a social hub as well. Then we get into patch 13, a new siege map, of course, co-op against hordes and hordes of enemies, likely focused on large-scale vehicle warfare. And these updates will kind of round out the year 2 cycle, pushing the game towards something a bit more integrated between the experiences of PvP and PvE. But we know that patch 15 is there with new siege maps, and patch 14, of course, with new PvP arenas. There is so much more coming, but they are only teasing little bits and pieces at this point in time. They're still being kind of secretive about later on in the year. Before, Space Marine 2 had a very clear divide between its co-op and competitive sides, and now they're trying to, I guess, blur those lines. The Hellbrew Onslaught mode combines that boss-scale spectacle of PvE with the intensity of PvP. Meanwhile, stratagem updates and class abilities are now being balanced across both sides, and this kind of unifies the approach to something that not many people have managed to pull off. I mean, I guess Darktide did it on a smaller scale, but Darktide is never and probably will never be the scale of game that Space Marine 2 is, and if Saber can make that balance work, it could be, and I just hope it is, the blueprint for Warhammer games in the future, because it's done so well, this title, and surely it is putting up alarm bells that this is what people want. This type of game, something unique, something that almost harks back to the older games of decades ago, but with a modern twist on it, and it's done so well out of it. Hopefully they can see that this is what people need. The way this roadmap is structured feels very deliberate though, almost like a Space Marine 2 Year 2 in its new release, with patch 10 adding in the chaos stuff, patch 11 adding in more missions, patch 12 adding in Tech Marines and the Battle Barge, and then of course more PvP and world building as we go on. This is just the design progression that we're seeing, and it mirrors a lot of what successful live service games do. And whilst on the whole live service is kind of a sinful word, if it's done right and not necessarily asking for a lot of money, I think mostly the cosmetic packs are where you can buy into it. As far as I've seen so far, Saber have done a pretty good job of making the updates that have real content and real impact on the lore in the game completely free. And beyond this, Space Marine 2, well, it kind of might be a shift of how AAA studios are approaching post-launch support. Historically, well, Warhammer games have been all over the place in terms of longevity. Vermintide 2 was a great co-op experience and did thrive for long term, to be fair, but games like Darktide kind of struggled under that live service expectation, but Saber have seemed to find a middle ground with their game. A premium shooter that evolves like a live service game without overwhelming players with microtransactions and alienating the people that really made this game successful. And that's pretty significant. It proves that the narrative-driven, lore-heavy shooter stuff can still grow year after year, not through battle passes and loot boxes, but loyalty, real content, and a passion for the game. In an era where big franchises like Battlefield and Call of Duty are fighting to just retain players, Space Marine 2 feels confident that they can keep it without chasing trends. And this is something I absolutely love. So where does this all lead? By mid-2026, Space Marine 2 will have doubled its content footprint. We'll have multiple PvE storylines, several PvP modes, new classes, new maps, and a proper endgame loop. If Saber continues this level of support, Space Marine 2 could end up where Vermintide was by its 3rd year. A classic, becoming the best co-op shooter of its generation. And the beauty is, none of this is paywall behind predatory monetization. Every major gameplay update is free, and the optional Season Pass 2 is just, well, focusing on cosmetics. This roadmap is exactly what I was looking for. Real content, real long-term commitment. And as far as I can see so far, the sentiment towards Saber Interactive in the game is still incredibly positive, which hopefully sends signals out that this is the way forward for gaming. Make sure you subscribe for more content updates of Space Marine 2. But until then, I will see you in the next one.